Hi, I'm Jacob Reeves, a senior tax manager here in our Newport News office, and we are going to be going over some business provisions of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act here.
Hello, I'm Kevin Forget. I'm a tax manager in the Charleston office of Brown Edwards and Company. We are excited to be going over the business provisions of the One Big Beautiful Bill that was passed July 4th, 2025. As some refer to it as OB3, so we may or may not interchange how we're referring to the bill, but there's a ton of information in here. So as we've touched on several times, the impact of this bill for manufacturing, construction, domestic production, and now farm, obviously a lot of the business deductions here were designed for domestic policies to be put in place to help small businesses. So the farm has, if you have a farm, it has several different new provisions within the bill. The first one applies to lenders, actually, of the farms, of loans secured by rural or agricultural real estate, is that those lenders can exclude 25% of the interest that they're collecting on those loans from their gross income. It has to be, once again, on rural or agricultural real estate, and those are defined here on the slide. But, for a small credit union or local lenders, Jacob, the 25% of the interest income, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's really going to change how some of these community banks can go to market with what interest rates they can offer to really enhance those rural investments in our communities.
Yeah, if they were thinking before, if you have a farm and maybe you've been turned down for one reason or another, maybe it's time to reapproach. With an incentive like this, it may, drive a bank one way or the other. Not to speak from personal knowledge of that, but 25% in savings on the interest income being excluded from their income, that's a large number. So this is an interesting aspect as well. If you sell qualified farmland property to a qualified farmer, I'll get to that in a minute, you can actually spread your gain out over 4 years at the election of the seller. So being the one who has to recognize the gain, the seller, you make an election that you can spread the gain over 4 equal installments, beginning with the due date of the return. Probably a lot of you are asking, what is a qualified farmer? I live in rural West Virginia. I have an acre of land. I go out there and mow it. Can I be a qualified farmer? No. Majority of your production or of your time, your income, your money stream has to be derived from farming activities. This is actually a new code section. It's 1062. Love it when they give us a new code section, right, Jacob? There's tons of good stuff in there. But that code section actually defines what a qualified farmer is, and it actually relates to an act from 1985 that defines a farmer for other reasons. I just thought that was an interesting little tidbit that not everybody can be a farmer in this particular income deferral strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
More about the qualified farmland property. It has to be real property. It has to have been used as a farm, OG, and it has to have been leased to a qualified farmer for farming purposes. If you have land and you're trying to sell it, you had to have run farm activities on it in order for this to apply. It must also be subject to a covenant or other legally enforceable restriction preventing it from being used for anything other than being a farm for 10 years.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest disqualifier here is someone who's had that farm that potentially wants to sell to a real estate developer.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be able to use this provision to defer that gain. The intent is really to kind of keep that farm running and
That's right.
Get it down to another generation that way.
That's right. But you can actually use this in potentially some estate planning. Will you be keeping the farm in the family? Is it better to get it out of your state by selling it to a relative or something along those lines? There's some opportunity here to have discussions about the future of your qualified farmland property and making sure that it stays a farm. And everyone must agree that it will be used.